Hello everyone. We're going to study now the book of Jonah. The title is the Conversion of Jonah. The text is found in Jonah 1 verse 1 to 3. That says, "Now the word of the Lord came to Jonah the son of Amittai, saying, Arise, go to Nineveh, that great city, and call out against it, for their evil has come up before me." But Jonah rose to flee to Tarshish from the presence of the Lord. He went down to Joppa and found a ship going to Tarshish. So he paid the fare and went down into it to go with them to Tarshish, away from the presence of the Lord. Jonah was asked by God to go to Nineveh, the big city, but he realized that he would be vulnerable in the pagan city. He knew that there would be no sympathy for his message. They didn't believe like he did. They didn't have the same values. It was also a violent city. And he knew that there would be no mercy extended in the popular city. And he wasn't sure if he really wanted all those people to suffer the consequences of divine wrath. Perhaps it was also a wealthy city. What right did he have upset the God and cause people to have suffering, when perhaps things had been going so well for them? And so he fled. Friends, are we also finding ourselves sometimes intimidated by the large city around us and by the large cities of the world? Can we only work where we feel we are in our comfort zone? And that's not a question for you. That is also a question for me. Friends, as a student of theology, I know there's more reason that I don't know why God allowed me to study this. But all I know is I will do His work. That is my mission. One time in Facebook, there appeared Mission 360 Degrees, a post about Mission Unusual Tokyo. And I found out that Greater Tokyo area is a big area with over 40 million people. But in the heart of Tokyo City, there are about 10 million people and only 10 Adventist churches with about 900 worship attendees every week. So one Adventist needs to reach more than 10,000 people. Tokyo is a big challenge. That's why I keep on thinking of Japan, this big, wealthy city, when I finish my studies, if God allow me to go there. Friends, some of the big cities in the world are very dangerous cities, but God wants to win them as well. Jesus died on the cross for them also, and they have the right to be saved also. We're only too aware that Christianity is one of the least popular religions in some areas of the world. And sometimes, to be honest, we find it hard to let others know that God will punish eventually. We don't even like to say it to our own churches, but it is true. And so, like Jonah, we all have our struggles sometimes, to be honest. Witnesses, I believe, Jonah also trusted men more than God, and presumptuously placed his life in the care of these men. Notice, it says Jonah arose to flee to Tarshish. Verse 3, from the presence of the Lord. He went down to Joppa and found a ship going to Tarshish, and he paid the fare and went down into it to go with them to Tarshish, from the presence of the Lord. Jonah had a problem. He was rebelling against God. Something was wrong. He was outside of a relationship with God. He was refusing to respond to clear light. He was refusing to go on a mission for God. He was refusing to bear a message for God, and Jonah needed converting. Sometimes all of us need converting, right? Because we are refusing to obey God. Many of us also find ourselves not walking with God as closely as we would wish. Sometimes we choose to ignore what God might be saying, and sometimes when it comes to sharing our faith, to to others, we are a little reluctant to do. So because maybe we think that we are lack of knowledge or lack of training or perhaps a lack of desire, but most importantly, there's a lack of conviction. I think what we only need is a faith, and a prayer, and a positive thinking to have a new heart. Ask Jesus how to love people around us, and I do believe that God is looking for the people to give a new heart and a new minds with desire to witness around us. In Ezekiel 3, verses 17 to 18, it says, Son of man, I have made you a watchman for the house of Israel. Whenever you hear a word from my mouth, you shall give them warning from me. If I say to the wicked, you shall surely die, and you give him no warning, nor speak to warn the wicked from his wicked way, in order to save his life, that wicked person shall die. For his iniquity, but his blood I will require at your hand. We are to warn everyone of what is going on. In Romans 10 verse 15, it says, And how are they to preach unless they are sent? As it is written, How beautiful are the feet of those who preach the good news. The gospel are the good news, but how shall they preach unless they are sent? In other words, unless we are going to help them know that there is something that is good news, so we were told to warn. Friends, God has blessed us with knowledge and time. What are we going to do with it? Let's use it, and I believe that each one of us, God bestow a talent to be used in His work. God sent a storm of mercy, and every mariners were afraid, and people cried out to his God, and the cargo was thrown to lighten the load. A very frightening thing happens in Jonah's time. But Jonah was down at the bottom of the ship and fast asleep. He was not concerned the consequences of his disobedience on the men who were taking him. He was only thinking of himself. Friends, are we sound asleep also? Because we have a good job, our family is okay, because we have a food to eat in the table. But what is going on with the world, and we are found asleep? Then God allowed the storm to come. God needed to bring about the conversion of Jonah, so he began to do what God wants him to do when he was thrown to the sea. God sent a whale and swallowed him, and inside the tummy he prays to God, and God heard him. And the whale vomited him in the seashore of Nineveh. And when he warned the people, there's a great response. The people changed, and even their king changed. But sadly, Jonah obeyed God without love, because he was angry with God when the people changed. This is also our problem sometimes. We often obey without love. We need a conversion experience, friends. God is calling us to be a messenger. The church received such a great light to share to all the people in the world, that they will not suffer because their blood will be in our hands. We are living in the judgment. We have to proclaim the 3 angels' message to all the people for them to be saved. Thank you, and God bless.